All right, I think we're live, kids. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of Taking America Camping. I'm Tim Meadows at TNS RV and Sport down in Navasota, Texas. Joined, as always, by my guys, Tex Maxon and Matt Cameron, who are in with us today from Bryan. And today's very, very special guest, Kyle Miller, the National Sales Director over at DRV, Cruiser RV, and Heartland RV. Kyle, man, first off, thank you for your time today. I think that everybody in this crowd understands the implications of getting together on a Monday morning, which also is the last day of the month. So we know how crazy that is in our lives, but especially want to have some consideration for how crazy it is in your life. So thank you for taking this time out with us to join us today. We're really excited about this, guys. Kyle is one of the more unique leaders in our industry, someone with whom TNS, our whole team here, has a very special relationship. And so having him here today to talk about some of his new roles and responsibilities and some of the changes that are frankly happening in real time in his life and in his professional life more than anything, I think, is exciting for us. So Kyle, man, like I said, thank you for being here. We're happy to have you on, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me. I was excited to hear that you guys were going to start this podcast a few weeks ago. Loved the first couple episodes I got to see with Dustin there when he was down visiting you guys last week, and glad to be a part of it.
Awesome. So we were chatting here offline a little bit and talking about some of the history of our relationship, which is one of the cooler things that I've really come to enjoy in the few of these things that we've done, because our relationship goes back. Man, I think the first time that I met you was in Elkhart at the National Heartland Rally in 2019, which was ironically right on the heels of a major leadership shift inside of the Heartland House. But let's give you a chance here to kind of talk about your history in the industry. Give us a little bit about your story and how it's brought you from when you joined the DRV team up until the present time.
Sure. So I started DRV back in 2006 as a sales coordinator, sales trainee. I was actually on a little weekend getaway with some buddies and ran into some old high school friends. And just so happened one of the guys there was the sales manager for DRV Luxury Suites at the time. We had a great weekend, some good conversations. And then the following week, they reached out and wanted me to come up and interview. I did, and literally moved in 3 days from Indianapolis up to start working at DRV. I grew up around DRV. I grew up 5 miles from the factory. So, it's crazy to think that the RV industry was around me my whole life, but I never really paid attention to it until I started, back in 2006. Long story short, DRV was an awesome place to start. Had some good mentorship with David Faught, who was the original owner or founder of DRV, and just kind of gradually over time worked my way up, from trainee to getting a territory and really understanding, what it takes, the importance of a relationships and honesty, integrity, all of those things, building a territory up there. And fast forward to today, a lot of, skipping a lot of things in the middle. I'm now the director of sales, 20 years deep, and loving every day of it.
Wow. Yeah, that's really pretty cool, because I think it's so unique in your story how you started with DRV. Like, of all the places to start in the industry, there's not a lot of steps on the towable side of our entire thing. There's not a lot of steps above.
No,
right.
Right.
So you kicked yourself off right in the thick of that high-end luxury towable segment, a segment that, frankly, took us a while to crack into. It took TNS a while to prove that we had the chops to handle that type of inventory. I know that I started putting the full court press on you the moment that we met. It's like, hey, so what's the deal here, man? When are we going to make this work? and it still took a little while, but yeah, the starting at the top is interesting because we've had several guys on who have had to, kind of work their way through different segments, and going from the production side of the house over to sales and product development and so forth. Tell us a little bit about what DRV is and what you would like to reinforce in the market, and just in terms of the perception of that brand and what that brand stands for.
Sure. So DRV's got a really unique recipe. You guys are now getting used to it down there, but when I started from 2006 till today, our recipe hasn't changed on how we build our products. From the frame to the walls to the foundation, that is still the most important aspects of what we do. So we've spent a lot of time as the market's changed, really trying to work with guys like you and some other avenues to really educate consumers on the differences of what DRV does versus the rest of the industry. And, from the construction standpoint, and that it's word of mouth, right? And so we need all the help we can get to do that. But I truly believe I've seen it happen. Once a customer gets ready or is able to, come into the DRV experience, it truly is a different type of experience for that end user and how that product works, regardless of climate, the function of it, all of those things are just different. And I think one thing that's been really good about DRV is we've ridden through the ups and downs of the industry in the 08s and 09s, the downturns, the last couple of years of downturns, where we've stayed true to our foundation and core construction values. And it's a family. It is the only place that I've personally been that I've had such direct consumer, influence. We talk to almost every single consumer or customer that's looking or has bought a DRV. So that's such a value add to have that type of relationship, not only with our dealers, but the end user, that it's created a really good culture, family atmosphere that, with open arms to you guys and all of our customers long term.
I think the word that I think of when I think of DRV ties very much into what you just described, and it's uncompromising, right? Like the idea of, we know who we are, we know what we do, we know how we do it, and regardless of those market conditions, we can't compromise what it is that we do strictly in response to a blip in the market. Because your consumer base, your ownership base, they have certain expectations of what that product is and the way that it's going to be put together and the way it's going to perform, that you can't go away from that. I think that another interesting tie-in is your promotions, as have happened over the last few years, to where you begin to oversee more and more product lines and even, dare I say, different manufacturing houses, and to see the influence that you've been able to have with your background coming from DRV on those houses at Cruiser and now at Heartland, and watching the transformation of the cultures from those houses. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you're trying to do in terms of affecting change?
Well, I think there's a lot of similarities of what we do here that you guys do.
Right.
People have always become, are always first in our company. And if you take that approach, you can really create a open culture, an open door policy where the communication is more transparent. You work together better as a team with that type of environment. So people first is kind of always been our approach at DRV. And as I've gotten into the Cruiser world and now the Heartland world, taking those same, core values of what we had at DRV and putting them into these other companies, it just works. And it works on the relationship side with our dealer body and our relationship with you guys. It's not everything that we do is perfect or works out well for the end user, but an open door relationship like we have with you guys, we're not, there it is, the first dark light of the day. Hold on, let me wave this off. There we go.
There we go. Light them up.
Light them up. But what happens is you stop. You don't worry about who caused the problem. You work on the solution. And if you take that mentality across the board, it really allows a trust level that that it's hard to beat. When people trust people, it can be a pretty awesome working environment, and that's what I've tried to do with the people that I've learned from through the years.
Yeah, so we've always said, and I'm gonna borrow from things that Tex has reinforced from the minute that we joined forces together to kind of become what TNS has become. The first is that we're in the people business. We just trade in towable RVs and now motorhomes. Those are the things, those are the widgets that change hands, or the substrate on which that relationship is built, right? And the other thing that he's always said plays into something that you just said, which is that life is really broken down into the 20% of things. 20% of life is what happens, and the other 80% is what are we doing about it? How are we reacting? So I agree. I do see a lot of similarities there. It's why we were why we chased the idea of being able to become a DRV retail dealer with such vigor. Matt, I know, was on board when this relationship finally came to fruition, and he was so excited about being able to provide service on a line like DRV, right? Like there's a higher expectation with the owners, and even from the manufacturing side. The DRV expects that TNS, if we're going to do this, we're going to be able to handle it. Matt, run us through some of the things that are so exciting from the service aspect of things that have come about because of the relationship between TNS and DRV in particular.
A little bit of a backstory too. I was working at a Louisville show one year, and this was prior to the merger between DRV and Heartland and Cruiser. So I'm sitting here at the show, and I'm walking around, and I'm looking at our landmarks and our bighorns, and I walk to the aisle and I see the DRV setup. I'm like, man, what are these? Like, these things are pretty cool looking. So I start walking over there and kind of looking around them. And then a couple of years later, I hear this merger, Heartland, DRV, Cruiser. That got me excited right there. Learn the inner workings of these things. What are they about? Why is the quality so high? Why is the good name out there the way it is? So it was just taking a kind of a headfirst dive into this merger and learning about the product. I know Kyle, I'm not sure what your role was on the team at that time, but I learned about you seeing your name come through in an email on the sales side. Here's the team needing some potential help on a customer service situation, getting involved. And that's how our conversation first started. Not sure exactly what your title was at that time, but just trying to help you guys understand that we were here to help on the service side for Heartland, helping DRV, trying to create that family environment so that you guys understood that we were all here, one team together, one force.
Right. 100%. So let's talk, Matt, about some of the things that we're doing in conjunction with DRV and now, and obviously with Heartland, because of your past tie-ins on both sides of that house, that what we're doing from the service aspect from a national standpoint to try to help these guys out on the manufacturing side to make things easier for the owners.
One thing too is helping any customer anywhere at any time. If they call in with a question, we're going to help them. If they're transient, we're going to help them. We're going to take them in as quick as possible and help get them back on the road. We treat them all the same. The DRV product, we have such a good tie-in with the service team there that we can get on the phone. If we have to, we can get on a cell phone and get a quick answer, quick turnaround. The parts team there is very good anyways, but if we ever need to expedite something, we've got that direct line to them. Not that we really have to do that because they're very good on their own.
Sure. Yeah. And Kyle, we've worked, obviously this service thing has been one of the major drivers. One of the things that you guys said when we started talking about all this is that you were looking for a partner who could be in a position to help people really no matter where they're at. So
absolutely. No, I mean, South Texas and all those places are very popular snowbird destinations. So we have a lot of customers that are always traveling through your neck of the woods. And what you guys have done there with, building that service infrastructure up. I was just there a couple of weeks ago, met and saw your new paint bay and all the collision stuff that you guys can now do. I mean, you're exactly what we need to make sure a customer feels confident when they're 1,000 miles from home that they can get taken care of properly.
Yeah, we want to be a one-stop shop for anybody passing through.
Right.
Provide
DRV in particular, because for any of you that don't know, if you haven't dug into the DRV product, there is no such thing as a DRV that doesn't have some level of paint, right? So the ability or the idea of taking that product on from a retail side and a service side was one of those key drivers to the creation of the paint and body shop that we've now got inside of TNS. I want to talk about. I'd like to get your input here, Kyle, on some of the changes, right? Some of the with all of those acquisitions and things that you've been getting slowly moved up the line as you've progressed in your career and taking on more responsibilities. Give us a broad overview of what you do from a job title perspective over the different houses that you're managing currently.
Yeah, sure. Honestly, my role the scale of my role is expanded, but I'm doing the same things I've done the last 10 years, and that's just oversee the sales department. Now over the last 5 or 6 years, it was just DRV and Cruiser. And then in January, I got moved into the role to do the same thing with the Heartland family of brands. So collectively right now, I've got 3 different sales teams that I manage. What I've done the last 60 days, though, is try to bring them more together so that there's one voice, because a lot of the things that I place emphasis on isn't about company or brand. It's more about the process and how we're treating our dealers and the type of communication that we want. And so trying to create one voice and one culture across all 3 companies is what I've spent the last couple of months doing. And honestly, it's been awesome learning the Heartland guys. It's crazy when you jump into a new company like I did. We're all the same type of people, and so I've really enjoyed getting to know the Heartland guys and bring them in to get to know the Cruiser and DRV. And we've created and established one culture in 60 days that we're stronger. We can move faster. Right. I know our communication with the dealers have improved. So it's been fun. Awesome. Outside of that, I oversee all the product lines, but we've got really talented general managers that sit in those roles that know what those products are supposed to be. They're the ones talking to you guys on what we should be putting in them. What are the customers asking for? So we've empowered those guys to run those businesses themselves. And, I'm just there as a support line for them.
Sure. Yeah. I'm sure that there's
I'd like to, before we get too far past the unit itself, Kyle, we don't want to miss the opportunity while we have you on here, but when you walk into a DRV, whichever floor plan that it is, the unit itself is different, right? So we're in this price point that now is compatible to other brands, and they're getting to a point where they're all kind of rising up to the same dollar amount. But when you walk into the DRV, and again, whichever floor plan that it happens to be, but the structure, the feel, the fit, the finish, the cabinetry, the doors, when you open and close a door, you can feel the difference. It all feels like it's residential, right? So the doors are heavy, the cabinets are heavy, the wall thickness, the frame, the axles, the tire rating, wheel, everything.
You name it, man.
Yeah,
I mean, keeps going.
I mean, from tip to tail. I'd like to really get into, before we run out of time, just the difference that the DRV brand brings to the table when a customer walks into the door of the unit, because it's very it'll capture you, and you can feel the difference. You know, we hear all the time people come in and we've looked at this brand and that brand, they'll say, but we want to look at a DRV, and then they'll go into it and they'll say, okay, well, now I can see the price difference, right, between some of the others and this one. We walked into some others and we couldn't really tell why it was so much more money, you know, but we don't get that on the DRV side. So from the guy that knows every aspect of the DRV brand, I'd like to get that description from you. Like, what makes that unit feel so different when you walk into the unit and you're using it on a daily basis?
Well, you're speaking my language now, Tex. This is something I can talk about for a really long time. Hold on just a second. I want to turn the light back on. I've spent, this is my 20th year being involved with DRV, and I've asked that question a lot. Like, why does it feel different when you walk inside?
Right.
And there's a lot of different answers. When I was doing sales training at the dealerships, it was a lot of fun because there wasn't a single area that I couldn't talk about that wasn't an upgrade of where the industry standard is, from tires, frames, walls, insulation. You can talk about it all, the manifolds and the water lines. And so honestly, it's pretty overwhelming for a newer salesperson on the dealership side to soak all that in.
I would agree with that completely.
And that's why we've placed such an importance or emphasis on being involved at the dealership level and the consumer level so much. Now, I will say one thing that's pretty awesome to see is when a customer calls in interested on one of your mobile suites, more than likely, they're probably already really educated. And so that helps us a lot. They've done their homework. They've stumbled onto our brand, and they've already kind of ran through the forums, or, they talked to a customer that they sat next to in the campground that weekend. So when they're calling you, a lot of our customers are almost interviewing you guys to say, hey, is this a place where we want to purchase? And that was one of the most important things that I was excited about when we partnered with you guys, because you guys check all of those boxes. And that's where the sale starts, is after you guys have delivered it. Can we live up to the expectations that we've set? And we know we can, because we're living vicariously through you guys in your service department. So that's why this relationship has worked so well, so fast.
Well, and even now, I mean, when I go out and I'm introducing the DRV to a customer, I mean, you go out, and as soon as you walk up to the unit, I mean, the cap, you open the storage doors, and the wall thickness of that door is like, holy cow, and the bulk and the quality. And, you open the front, and there's a series of 6-volt batteries sitting there on a slide out tray. Walk around to the storage side, and the structure of all of the, where all the water lines are, and just the cleanliness and the neatness and the quality of everything that's there, the axle configuration. They all come in initially without the center caps on each axle. And we do that, of course, in PDI. But, you get that, the thickness, the heaviness of all of the entire construction, front to back, the molded caps front to rear. It's a different animal altogether. It's an oh wow moment even now when you go out and walk around one, and then the customers, each time I'm showing one, they'll go in and, the first thing they'll do, oh, wow, this is nice.
Oh, wow, is a good encapsulation of the first response. If somebody hasn't truly been
that wow factor is always there.
There's a reason why there's so many second and third time buyers on these.
That's right. Sure.
Yeah,
like you say, typically you're not with your first time buyer here. These are people that know their stuff, and so like your owners club, all your owners club people, they when they get together, they're all proud of their rigs when they show up 100%. At one place and park them side by side. I mean, they can't wait to display their units. It's like being a gearhead, I equate it to like a car show where guys show up with all their really nice hot rods, and they line them all up. They can't wait to show them off. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it's a different, when you show up, you're at a level that not everybody is able to park next to, so.
Yeah. I mean, everything's real,
Mhm.
I mean, from the tile backsplashes to your trim being real wood. I mean, everything is real. The biggest thing that I always enjoyed when I was on the sales side of it was, the consumer, how much that thing weigh? Well, it weighs a little more than everybody else's, but there's a reason for that, and that's because of the frame and the walls, and so you can't sell what we sell, in terms of the 4-season qualities of a DRV
Sure.
without using the materials that we're using.
Right.
That goes hand in hand if we really want to deliver on what we're telling the consumer our product can do.
Yeah.
Sure.
Tex mentioned your owners group.
Mhm.
Talk a little bit about the function of that owners group on a national scale, and what it provides for all of the current buyers as well as the potential DRV customer who's looking to move up into that echelon of the industry. Just kind of give us a rundown on what you guys do and how you work with those guys.
So our travel clubs are independent. We do not own them or operate them. We work in conjunction with them. We're a resource there that we want to, we're out there doing the best we can to engage, be a resource, communication, all of that with our customers. They schedule their own rallies. They do everything. We're just the conduit. We're just the lucky ones that they chose to buy our product. So what's happening now is obviously a lot of consumers or prospective buyers are going to those forums. They're researching, they're asking questions. And that's one thing that DRV's been really fortunate is we have a really good customer base. They're really proud of what they have and they know their product really, really well.
Oh yeah.
So whoever gets on there and asks these questions, they're going to get real information back on why they chose DRV and why, and to the consumer, the prospective buyer, they're not listening to me in sales. They're getting, a customer-based testimony, which is awesome.
Third-party validation is the strongest
100%.
thing in the sales or reference-based world, right? Like you've heard it from the sales team, you've heard it from the marketing team, but now when someone shows up and reinforces that idea, and there's no variance in the way that it gets presented, it is the most powerful tool. Which again, I like it. I like the idea that if we're creating something that's solid, in relationship building with our customers, that's going to be reinforced when people go outside and look for, the experienced version of that and what that story sounds like. I think I like the pressure that it creates for us to be consistent. You know what I'm saying? Like it would be, it almost could be too easy if you just took it for granted that we're going to do these things. Well, we have to remind ourselves every time you walk into your office, you've got to be reminded that there is an expectation of you and for the work product that you create. So we take that very seriously here as well. And that's what we're all shooting for, that end goal of what we say and what we create would be reinforced by those who have been through it with us.
Sure. Well, and too, the DRV customers have been excellent. They're looking for some place that can give them some help if they need something done to a unit. And we've welcomed that with open arms and done our best to accommodate. We obviously don't have a requirement that they bought here or anything like that. If they have the unit and they need help, then we're more than happy to help them, So, but like I said, the DRV customers have been excellent. I mean, it's a great group of people to work with. And they, they'll bring a unit in, drop it off, we get it fixed and get it back to them. And then, like I say, they're just great people to work with. So, very unique clientele. It's been fun.
Yeah. Looking forward to an expansion of that relationship with, individual owners and then with the owners club itself. So we've got some stuff that we're working on behind the scenes that hopefully we'll see roll out before too long. Hey, before I let this get away from us, I think that we should address what is inevitably going to be considered the elephant in the room. And that is the changes recently inside of Thor, the brands and the houses that you've been charged with since January, now going in over under the executive leadership team at Jayco, and what you're seeing from that to this point, and how that might not be, that situation is certainly not static.
Yeah. So we're a week and a half into the announcement,
right?
So not a lot of time has passed. There's a really nice, there's a level of, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a lot of optimism behind it, because we know what Jayco is to the market. Long-standing company, high standards. They've been doing things the right way for a really long time. I can't even begin to tell you how many people at shows and consumers at shows I've talked to where, everybody's owned a Jayco, or the grandpa owned a Jayco, or somewhere along the lines of camping, a Jayco was, part of that customer's RV experience. And so we're excited for it. We know the type of resources that they have, and we know the resources that we have. So combining those two together and learning from each other, there's going to be a lot of things that, are going to blossom because of this new relationship. We're all going to be learning a lot of new things together. And I think it's going to be exciting. I think there's going to be change, that's inevitable. But the change is going to be there to provide the resources and, that we can deliver what we're aiming to do to you guys on the product side and to our customers on the backside. So there's a lot of optimism through our halls this last week on what it means long term.
Right. I would say that's been the overwhelming response from the guys in your different teams that we talk to regularly. But that idea that we don't know what we don't know yet. Right. So 100%. We were joking before we started offline, like, hey man, maybe we should have been doing this a week from now, because you might know more. Which is, it's somewhat expected.
I can come back. I'll come back.
Brother, it's an open door invitation.
Right.
Yeah. One thing that I know that when something like this happens, the change happens, there's always a little bit of an unsettling, right, with our people.
Right.
But that was solved pretty quick, because something that I grew up in at DRV with our culture and now Cruiser is people, people, people. And that was the message that came out within day one of this announcement. And so the culture that I come from and the culture that I feel like I know about the Jayco, there's a lot of alignment there, and that's really exciting for us. So I think the sky's the limit as we move forward on what tomorrow is going to look like.
Well, like I said, if and when those things happen, we want you to come back, and we want to know about it. We want everybody out there to hear it directly from the horse's mouth. The things that are changing, the directional, the changes in direction or lack thereof. If it's like, hey man, they've told us that they want us to keep doing what we're doing, then let's get ahead of that as well.
And that's kind of where we're at this last week. We've had some people from their organization come through. One thing that's important to us are our audits, right? So every week, every Tuesday and Wednesday, we have a series of plant audits that we do across the complex. We've had some of their people come in and kind of watch how we're doing it and assist. And so that's kind of where we're at. It's been quality-based type visits, which has gone a long way. And right now we're just in the process of kind of getting to know everybody. It's pretty that simple right now.
Right. So, Kyle, we're getting close here on time, and I know how valuable your time is, especially on the last day of the month. But what is it that we haven't covered yet that you feel like would be important for the listeners out there and for prospective customers of any of those brands that you manage? What would it be important that they hear from you? Maybe it's something about what's going on right now, or something that is upcoming.
Good question. I think we covered a lot of that stuff in bits and pieces on what's kind of important coming out of our walls right now. And it's relationships. When you have improved relationships with not only our dealer body or the customers, everything else kind of takes care of itself with the communication and stuff like that. And so our guys have put a full court press on these last 60 days on ensuring that our relationships are strong, and we're giving our dealers and our customers everything they need for them to be successful. We're heading into March and April. You guys are going to be really, really busy out there with sales and deliveries and service, because everybody's getting their unit out of storage. And so every time we come into this time of year internally, we're really trying to get ourselves aligned right to be able to take care of those needs as we enter the busy season.
Sure. I have one question that I've kind of thought of while we're going here. It wasn't on our notes or anything, but what kind of implications do you feel like that you can at least give us a broad speculation that you might see, or that the consumers may see going forward? We're hearing a lot in the back channels about the implications of tariffs on costs of materials and the trickle down that would happen through production. What can you speak to about that?
Complicated. That's a complicated. There's a lot of complications. A lot of things are moving right now in our world. Vendors have been coming in and out talking to us about it. I mean, obviously the tariffs are real. April 2nd is a pretty important day, especially for our Canadian partners, as some of those tariffs take place. And so we are definitely seeing an impact. Excuse me one more time here. I guess.
Let it never be said that DRV and Heartland and Cruiser aren't on the economy side of things. They've got Kyle's
we've got lights
set on a timer. He's
lights.
Not moving around fast enough.
I know. I wish I should have done this over in Howe, because I have a light that stays on all the time. But pricing is an important aspect of our industry, and obviously over the last couple of years we've seen pricing go up. We're very sensitive to that, and so as we've talked to our vendors and tried to understand what these tariff impacts are going to be, we're very strategic on what that means for our brand pricing and ultimately to our end customers and what they're going to face. It's real. It's coming. I think these next 30 days we're going to really have a better vision of what it's going to mean long term. And so we've taken our approach right now is, slow, methodical. We're not going to draw any conclusions until we have the real data. And as that comes in, we're doing everything we can to mitigate it so that we don't have to pass anything on to our consumers. And so over the next couple of weeks, it'll get a little clearer for us, and we'll be able to decipher through all that and make the moves we need to for the market.
Awesome. Tex, you got anything that you wanted to get from Kyle before we let him get on with his rat killing? And
really just the appreciation, excuse me, of you being here. Sorry, this pollen is kicking my butt.
It's been whooping on Mr. Max the last few days.
But no, just the appreciation, Kyle, of you setting some time aside to spend with us here and get more of a DRV message out there and the changes that are going on at the moment and the improvements that are being made and that type thing. All of us are always chasing quality and that for the customer and improving that experience. But definitely just appreciate you being here with us for a little bit, and then maybe we'll have you back on shortly as things begin to progress. Could be another couple weeks or so. We may have a lot more to talk about.
No, I'd love that, guys. And no, I appreciate your guys' time. I know you guys are just as busy as we are getting those customer pickups today. And so It goes a long way. The last thing I'd like to say is just thank you. Your relationship and your standards have made us better too. And that's one thing that I think has made our relationship so strong, is we keep each other accountable for what we're doing. And I love that. And that ultimately all that means is the customer is going to have a better experience. And so keep doing the TNS thing down there. We appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. And on that subject, appreciate you guys answering the phone, because we get a customer that has some sort of an issue, we can immediately call you and right away we have help, so your attendance to those calls and those customers is much apprecited.
You're awesome.
So Matt, you got anything else on the service side of the house that we would want to try to cover before we put a bow on this thing?
Well, I think just the continued partnership, see where it goes, with the changes upcoming, see how that, migrates things. But no, I just appreciate the team over there. They're great to work with.
Sure. Good.
Awesome. Well,
cool.
I have to take a quick second. and tell you, man, like it's been really cool over the last couple of years. My relationship with our Cyclone and Torque rep, Michael Hoover, right? Like I can see in Michael the influence of the idea and the fact that he worked for you directly with DRV for several years before going across to Heartland. A lot of similarities. You know, I think one of the things that I always think about with you is your uncanny ability to stay personally in touch with us as professional contacts. I've really enjoyed over the course of the last 5 or 6 years, you know, that knowing that just when it seems like it would, like, I haven't talked to Kyle in a while. It's almost like you sense that, and boom, here comes a phone call. And I appreciate that, man. I'm a people guy. I really value relationships above and beyond everything else. And I think that the stronger those relationships are, the easier it is for us to be productive professionally with
100%. I mean, it's the same way with you guys. I always challenge our guys and our team. We want to have multi-level relationships. One guy can't do it all. You know, he may be on the road or doing something, and you can't get in touch with him. And so for you guys to have multiple people in our organization that can help you overcome something or answer a question for a sale, whatever it is, you know, that's super important for us. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Hoover's one of our superstars, and he's got a bright future here.
Yeah, and one more quick shout out to Sean James. Sean, by the time you hear this, I will have returned your phone call.
He'll love this.
Yeah, Sean's great. One of the guys that I truly enjoy talking to him because we're going to laugh. We're going to get our stuff done, but then we're going to have a good time. Fellas, I think the last thing that I've got is a reminder to anybody that is listening to this, watching this. We're working diligently to try to make this content more available. I was able to finally make the connection over the weekend. So you can find Taking America Camping on Spotify now. The next step is going to be some of the other major podcast platforms, be it Amazon, Apple, Google, just trying to plow through that as best as my technologically challenged brain will allow me to, so we're working on that. We're continuing to post everything to YouTube, and then migrating those things across as we can to the various social media platforms in the forms of full episodes or reels or clips or whatever each one of them calls it. So if you would, guys, just get on, find the show, follow, subscribe, leave a review. 5-star reviews. It's no different when we're trying to promote the content from a podcast as it is to what we're chasing on the customer satisfaction end of a retail dealership. So we just ask that you guys continue to help spread the word. And I think with that, Kyle, if you're good with it, we're going to close up with a prayer. And it's the way that we close every meeting and or episode around here. So I think I'll do that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today, as always, in thanks. We're thankful for the friends and the relationships that you have brought to us through this venture. We thank you today in particular for Kyle, his unique approach to business relationships and personal relationships. We are excited about the things that you have given him and the changes that you've brought into his world. And very interested and excited to watch him grow through those challenges. Lord, we thank you for the blessings. We look forward to all the changes and all the challenges that you have for us. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Kyle, thank you so much. Brother. Look forward to talking with you soon.
That was fun. Let's do it again.
Good.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
All right, boys. Talk to you later.